Hello, you wonderful tea people, and here's another video about our red oolong. Now, this oolong is a heavily oxidized oolong from Taidong in the south of Taiwan, and it's not roasted. So this is super important. It's not roasted. So this dark color you can see from this here is not roasted. It's a little bit similar to the honey black oolong that we have, but this is not the material that would be used for honey fragrance black tea. This is a material that would be used for oolong tea, but it is oxidized much longer than the average tea. So, average oolongs, they're oxidized. The light oolongs are oxidized anywhere from 25% to 35%, something like that. Then you've got the Dongding oolongs, which are a little bit more, maybe 50% roasted a bit. These guys are oxidized like 75 to 85%. So they're really, really dark and really, really rich. And that's their thing. That's why it's called a red oolong and in the dark oolong collection. So I'm getting 3 grams of tea. So 3 grams of tea, about that much, a pinch. Right on the money. There we go. There's 3 grams of tea right there. And so you can see about how much that is. It's not that much. It's really not that much. But when you're adding in the tea to hot water and things like that, it'll work quite well. So here we go. As we've been doing the last little while, I'm going to do this 3 minutes. So this is sort of a Western style brewing tip. So let's see if this actually works for the Western style brewing. It does. It does work. It does work. And this is what I'm going to do here is sort of the Gong Fu brewing style. So the Gong Fu brewing style here will have 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and 1 minute. So here we go. Why don't we start with this guy here, and we'll do 30 seconds for this. Now, this is from a partner farm that I enjoy visiting very much because they're super nice people, and I get to help out doing stuff. And this is something that I really, really enjoy. And their regenerative farming techniques are really amazing. I mean, these guys are so organic that, they only cut the grass a couple times a year. They don't use chemical fertilizers. They don't use organic fertilizers. They just let the plants grow and regenerate themselves. And drinking this tea is drinking this tea is some of the least, how to describe it? There's absolutely no catch to drinking this tea, right? There's no catch. You buy this tea and you drink this tea and you're supporting wonderful people doing wonderful things all over the world. It really is spectacular. So here we go. I've got this tea going here. So like I said, this is a big leaf oolong cultivar. And the extra oxidization of this brings out some really gorgeous and beautiful. If you're watching more than one of these at a time, you're probably going to be really freaking sick of me saying gorgeous and beautiful. But anyways, there's a deep, rich earthiness to this that's quite sweet. It's a quite sweet smell. It's a quite sweet feel, and the floral in this, because oolongs generally speaking have florals, the good ones anyways, is more like a rose floral than it would be like a jasmine flower or one of those other types of florals. It's much, much, much more of a rose floral. So here we go. We're going to do 45 seconds on this one for the second steep. And so you can see here, these leaves are opening up nicely right here. They're dancing a bit. This one's got we give it another minute left for this one here. Now the water temperature on this one, you don't have to worry about the water temperature too much. Some of the teas, and I'm trying to be very upfront with them, you do have to worry about the water temperature too much. You want this one for the water temperature. You don't want it a rolling boil, but if the first one's a little hot, that's okay, right? If this steep's a little hot, that's totally fine because you're not going to be, as long as you don't have it a rolling boil each time, then you should be good to go. Because the really hot first steep will help open the leaves. And then if you're, for example, if you, like what I do with this, okay, here we go. What I do with this, I boil the water, I wait for a couple minutes. I use it on the first steep, and then I just keep going and using the same water. I don't reheat it. I just use the same water down the line, just like that. And it seems to work really, really, really well for doing things like this. You know, you can always test as well. So for example, if you are, you know, you want it a little bit stronger, then you leave it in for a little bit longer, use a little hotter temperature water. But definitely when you first get started, you should be testing out the teas or the teas that you enjoy in a very regimented pattern so you can get used to it. So here we go. Last steep here. This was the 3-minute steep for this guy right here. So here we go. Last steep here. This is going to be 1 minute. And then we're ready to go and to test our teas. As you can see, the color difference between the first steep and the second steep, you know, pretty dramatic. It's a pretty dramatic color difference. And then this guy who's been in there for 3 minutes, well, that's a little bit deeper as well. But not to give it away, this tastes pretty good. So it's very suitable for Western style brewing. Oh, so this tea, I really enjoy this tea, especially with the river water. The darker oolongs with river water seem to work really, really, really well. And I think it's because when you use river water, right, you can't have a rolling boil all the time. Because you can't have a rolling boil all the time, you boil the river water, you use hot water, and then the water gets cool quicker because you're out in the outdoors. So the water gets cooler quicker. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so tasty out there. Also, you know, it's in the outdoors, which is wonderful, which is wonderful. So here we go. Here we go with the last steep. So that was 1 minute. So the aroma coming off of this is earthy, sweet, and the floral is like a rose floral, something like that. But let's get right into it. And but before we get going, you can see here these are the leaves opening up. You got your typical oolong pick. You got the bud, 1, 2, 3 leaves, just like that. So you're looking at your typical oolong pick and the balls that have been rolled up here. So here we go. We're going to go through the Gong Fu style brewing process right now. We're going to test out the first 30-second steep. And because these guys are pretty tightly rolled, well, let's try it out. Not much taste in this at all. There's a little bit. Most people throw away the rinse, I guess you could call it, but I usually try and keep it and drink it because I know these teas are very, very safe. And so this got a little bit of a, you know, a woody feel to it, but a lot of the hints of the flavors that are going to be coming up with the second and the third steeps. And when you're first starting out, it's actually quite worthwhile. If you do try to do the Gong Fu method, it's really quite worthwhile to do a first steep, taste it, and then see the progression from the other ones. If you just start with the second steep or the third steep, you know, you're going straight to the good stuff. You really should try and test out all the steeps as you go through. Anyways, here we go. We're going to the second steep with this red oolong tea. So with this, you're getting the earthy notes have started. They're coming out. And there it is. So with this garden and this farm, one of the really interesting things about this, I get the green tea from the same garden, is the subtleness of the tea. So the tea, up front, you might get a couple tastes, but then as the tea moves back in your palate and then in the aftertaste, you're getting a lot of flavor. And that is really, really enjoyable. So in this, you know, a lot of these darker flavors, maybe you know, like maybe a raisiny type of thing, or a little bit of, you know, like baking cinnamon dark bread, something like that is coming out in the flavors in the back. And the floral, like I was saying before, is like a rose floral coming out. And so that's a second steep. So it's got all those flavors in it with the second steep, which is, you know, it's hitting the palate in a lot of different places. And it's a super clean tea, so I'm starting to get my tell for super clean teas in the sense of lots of saliva in the back of my cheeks here. So here's the third steep. This was 1 minute. So this was 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute. So here we go for the 1 minute steep. And here the tea really is sort of fully expressing itself. So you've got all those, those black tea notes mixed in with rose and almost, like, oatmeal cookie sort of, those sort of spicy type flavors with a sweetness, a really nice sweetness, and no bitterness, no astringency at all throughout the entire steep process of this tea. Nothing like that. It's all really quite sweet and very lingering and lasting. But overall, just a really, really pleasant tea. Just a really, really pleasant tea. Stewed apple, maybe, something like that in that, something baking. Baked goods flavors in there, which I've heard from more than one person who's tried it out. So here we go. This was 3 minutes in less than boiling water, maybe 95-degree water, something like that, and just left there to steep for 3 minutes. So let's see how this guy goes. Perfect. And it's interesting. There's a couple teas that are like this. The Old Master Black, for example, is sort of like this. But I've had these teas, like 1, 2, 3, and then this one is actually kind of better than these three by themselves. You've got the flavors coming out. And because there's absolutely no bitter edge to this tea is a very soft and gentle tea. There's no bitterness to it. When all these flavors are melded together, then you get like a full-bodied, sweet, rich, floral black tea. So it doesn't happen every time, but actually with this, if I was going to choose one that I preferred, it would be actually the 3 minute steep. This guy here is actually the one that I prefer out of these three different ways of doing it. But that is a really pleasant tea. So it's a black tea with oolong freshness, oolong florals, oolong sweetness. All of those things mixed together into sort of like a black tea. But anyways, as always, if you got any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below this video. If you'd like to ask me any questions about this tea, then you can reach me at matt@mountainstreamteas.com. This tea will be, I'm looking forward to helping make this tea at some point in the spring with the partner farm down in Tai Dong. So keep an eye out for that. And I certainly hope that you have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.